subscribe.
The Angry Ops Guy podcast.
I'm the angry ops guy, hanging by a thread, living on Prozac, the meds from my head, jaded and burned out, ADHD and overdrive, manage your life, running on a wire, I love it, I hate it, I'm past repair, the angry ops guy, just another day.
We're back. Ops Mike here, and it's bonus episode time. And when bonus episode time means is Emily Lundy's back, our producer extraordinaire. She's got her own podcast episode with us, and now she's back because I yelled at her on a Saturday morning to get on with me and record, even though she doesn't want to and she doesn't get paid. So she is back. Em, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm tired,
Hi.
but there's no one else I'd wake up at this hour for on a Saturday morning.
Well, just to be clear, we're not recording at 6 o'clock in the morning Alberta time. It is actually 9:30 a.m. over there, and you are an adult, so you should be up and navigating life. But what were you doing last night, Em, that resulted in you being exhausted?
I had a crazy night in of reading my book.
How amazing is that? Like it is. It's like there is a Friday night where you want to go out and, quote unquote, put your hair down or go have a drink or a nice dinner or whatever. And then there's just like the Friday night where you're like, work is over and I want to do nothing.
Yeah, it's true.
Writing a book, that's Jack. Reading books, which I used to be a huge reader. Ironically, to anybody who knows me, I really was an avid reader growing up. And then when I moved into the digital space, it kind of changed, which I'm still reading. I'm just not reading novel form. But when I was in the Dominican Republic, no matter when this drops, I actually read a full book, and it was so enjoyable.
What did you
It's
read
just-
there?
I read a book called L.A. Confidential by James Ellroy.
Okay, yeah.
Have you know the movie from the 90s?
Yeah.
I love that 50s, 50s, 60s, 40s, 50s, 60s, like LA cop corruption, seedy Hollywood or whatever. So I've watched the movie once and enjoyed it, but I bought the book and I was just looking for something randomly to bring. And then you're sitting there going like, I hope I'm going to be able to get into it. And I got into it. I was hooked. So there's like 3 other ones in his LA quartet, as he calls it. And I ordered another one and I haven't even touched it yet because I'm not on a beach. But, there's something about flipping pages, that compared to digital, like tablet reading or even digital reading on screens, because I do a lot of reading all day, obviously. But there's something about watching progress in a novel of where you are and getting hooked into it. And when you can, I don't know how long you read last night, but you can get into a book for an hour, 2 hours, or whatever else. It is, it's very calming.
Agreed.
And then, falling asleep on a Friday early is not a bad thing either.
No, it is not.
All right. Well, I had such a great time with you with our full episode, which will be released before, obviously, this bonus episode. We talked so much stuff there, but we're going to shift gears here. And the fun part about this is I have no idea what you have in store because I'm the one that always has to think off the top of my feet for guests and topics and stuff. And you're like, no, Mike, this is my show. So, what are we talking about today, Emily?
I feel like today's sort of intro that we've just done accidentally on purpose is a nice segue to what we're going to talk about today, because we're going to do Digital Puppet from your album, which is a very emotionally charged song, but I feel like you're coming off of a period of being able to rest and recharge, which is also a song on the album, Recharge. But hopefully you can look back at this song with, I guess, more rested eyes is the best way for me to put it, because it seems like you went through a lot last year. You're still going through a few different things over there, I know, but we don't need to unpack that today unless you'd like to. I'm hoping you can kick us off by telling us when you wrote this song.
Sure. There's always something going on because I'm in ops. Let's not kid ourselves. So I wrote Digital Puppet. I want to say, God, this sounds terrible, but I I want to say I drafted that like either early December of 2025, or it was late December when I was on holidays,
Yeah.
when we shut down the office between Christmas and New Year's every year. And so I think that's kind of where I spearheaded to try to get back into focusing on Angry Ops Guy. Because as you know, because you were the one poking at me saying, Mike, any new material? When are we going to get back our mojo and stuff? And I really wasn't around for too much until we started recording with Jack, and then Eric, and then Heidi, and then we
Yeah.
started really get going. So I put the songs away for a little bit. I put the podcast new episode recordings away for a little bit, just because, like you said, it was a very tough year for many reasons last year, and I've kind of learned, for I guess my own therapy, as I try to say, that making these not only keeps me smart with AI and how I'm trying to figure things out, but just as a way to release some of those thoughts in a way that you kind of encapsulate them into something creative. Interesting that you reflect that there's a lot of emotion in it. Another song that we'll talk about another day that I just released, called Anchor, which I do truly think is like the best one I've made to date for many reasons. I actually sent that one to my mother. And my mom doesn't know the difference between like an AI generated song and my podcast, but she listened to it, and I gave her the lyrics as well. And my mom and I are a lot alike, and um, she says to me, she goes, I listened to that podcast thing you sent over. I'm like, Mom, it's a song, it's not a podcast, but that's the first symbol of thank you for your support and following. She's like, Jesus Christ, Mom. God, I love her. But she said, I listened to it first because my mom doesn't like pop punk rock. She probably thinks it's noise. But she's like, then I listened to it again and followed the lyrics. And she goes, and my mom, knowing me probably better than anybody because she's my mother, she goes, I really get a sense of where you're at in life and what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And that was such an interesting perspective, hearing from someone as close to me as my mother, who cares about me and whatever and so forth, is how she could see what I was actually trying to say in the lyrics. And I think, ironically, you're kind of the same way. You don't look at the songs like, hey, Mike, that's a banger, and I'm rocking out to it doing spin class. But you'll come back to me saying, like, I actually want to dig into the lyrics because I think that's how you also better understand me.
Yeah.
And I replied to my mom. I know the question is more about Digital Puppet, but I replied to my mom and said to her, it's probably the one way I have found to show the vulnerable side of me as far as I'm willing to give it to people. And she got it right away. So that was just so kind of interesting and solidifying that, yeah, I do stupid attacks in them and I bring other things in them and so forth. But I also kind of identified with that reflection of my mother. It's like, I'm basically talking to myself in my songs. It's my inner child or my inner Mike basically yelling at myself at whatever frustration I'm facing in the day. So maybe that's the purpose of them now, is to be creative, but to have an outlet and to um, remind myself of that I got to keep going. So back to your thing, Digital Puppet, towards the end of last year. And yeah, it was a difficult year, and I'm really proud of that song because I did get a sound that I wanted out of it. And I am the digital puppet. And that's how I feel most days, that somebody's either got their fist up my yin yang, or they're playing the strings and I'm the puppet. So is that to give you enough to go in whatever direction you want?
Sure. I was just going to ask you if you could elaborate on some of the challenges, as obviously with whatever you're willing to share, but some of the challenges that you went through, maybe in ops last year or just in general. What kind of led you to writing that song specifically?
The two biggest components of that song approach is, number one, it was a very difficult year at the agency, and the biggest difficulty of what I mean that for context is staffing. Our agency has been one that proudly has been able to retain employees for long durations. Numerous. I'm the eldest tenured employee now. It's almost 17 years and 15 days. In 15 days, that's my anniversary. I got Lenny, my PM and right hand man. He's been 15 years. A couple other people in the agency, 10 and 8 years, and another gentleman at 5 years, another gentleman at 2 years. So again, the tenure has always been steady, and you get comfortable with that, and that's what you know. And then we just had like this tornado, if you want, or compounded kind of thing of one key gentleman chose to put in his resignation, which was a big shock, but ultimately, he was looking for the next step in his career and moving up the ladder and what he wanted to do for his family. And I respect that. But that was the first kind of domino that fell. And then, you work to hire somebody to replace that hole in operational fulfillment. And then another person in that department chose to resign a month or two after to pursue something else. So there's another domino that falls. And then the person that we hired to replace the first person chooses to resign after a very short amount of time. I, again, found an opportunity, quote unquote, they couldn't refuse. So, you don't get to build much of a relationship with them. And then another gentleman gets hired. So we haven't had 4 people in and out of the agency in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have 4 in and out within literally 6 months. And for any ops leader, that's extremely hard. Your partner in crime in Alberta, which you just mentioned, we were talking offline, you got a chance to sit down and have a coffee and a spin class with Christina. And now that you aren't working directly together every day in CIPR, but Christina will tell you that, tenfold. It's like the fucking revolving door of staff is the hardest thing on operational fulfillment because it harms client retention, client confidence in the person that they're engaging and build a relationship with. And ops leaders, we want stability because, we've got to be able to trust people, to be the lieutenants, to get it out and to do it. And, it's very hard to bring somebody new in, especially in small agency life, because we do wear 7 or 8 hats. And, again, kind of fractured me to a core a little bit because what I do when those things happen, unfortunately, because I'm a very I can be reactionary and emotional, and I get into kind of go mode. It's like, I got to fix it. I got to solve it. I've got to be on everything. I forfeited my holidays twice because I felt it was in the best interest of the agency, because who's going to fill that gap with important accounts until we could stabilize? And then what happens, like I've said to you and Christina before, then I start to really burn out because I'm working way too much and it's not because my ownership said to, it's me. And, I think that song reflects that, it's not the right way to do it. And even when I came and saw you and Christina in Alberta in July, I wasn't my best self because I had problems going on. And, it's 6-7 months in the year and I haven't taken any time off because I'm dumb. And, and then the second stretch of the year, which that song is really about, is extremely hard to get to the finish line because I understand as a 40-year-old man now that keeping your brain healthy is the most important thing to allow you to put your best self out there for your peers, for your staff, for your family, and for your own mental sanity. Because when you're mentally tired, and whatever that means to anybody listening, and we talked this about you and your reflections post agency life, and how the first thing you said when you kind of said, my first reflection was how much mentally healthier I am now. And that wasn't because of the agency. It was coming out of agency fulfillment life, of the pressure, like you said, of a million things all the time to do. So you reflected right away, my mental health got better. Well, I'm in agency life every day, so I have to maintain my mental health to be able to grind out the whole year of whatever the roller coaster is. So staffing was a big part of that. That was just a very interesting year as to change and disruption. And looking at it now, and we're still trying to fix certain things in the agency, because you're always trying to fix certain things and improve and find people that will take the job to the next level than the person before, is just, again, got to keep the brain healthy, and got to know the signals that you can't burn the candle from both sides. And last year was like really a tipping point of hey, Mike, this has got to be the last time that you do this, where you go into this such intense mode of like, I got to work, I got to go, it doesn't matter, I can keep going. Um, because ultimately that digital puppet song is about feeling small because you've broken yourself down to being a fraction of what you believe you should be.
Yeah, a couple different things there. I guess I'll go on the staffing side first. You and Christina talked a lot about in some of your earlier episodes about, the challenges with staffing, with retention, with, even things like promotions and things like that, making sure people are in the right seats on the bus.
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of this period of high turnover, which I can imagine is very stressful, was there anything that you learned?
Um, like the saying that you've heard from really successful people that try to share wisdom. I heard this from Tom Hanks on a actors table where they had some of the best actors of our generation talking, and he says, "This too shall pass."
Mm.
That's the biggest learning is when it happens, it's literally like a grenade goes off next to you. Somebody has run over your dog in the middle of the street. Sadly, it's just like everything is so raw because you're fractured in your stability and your comfort. I don't think humans nowadays more than ever, we don't like to be uncomfortable. We really don't. I don't. I've always been like that, as I don't like to be uncomfortable. So you make me uncomfortable, and that fight or flight approach kicks in, and then your mind just spirals into a million questions, and what am I going to do and what's going to happen, and guess what, if that's kind of started in mid-June, so let's say another 6 months. Now we're recording here 2.5 months into 2026. So we are 8-9 months past, and guess what, agency's still here, I'm still here, core team is still here, majority of the clients are still here other than the ones that choose to make their own decisions. So we keep moving, and me and my Peter have kind of a saying that's just like, let's keep moving, got to keep moving, because he'll know that I'm spiraling, or he'll be spiraling because he has his own stress and pressures of how to take care of the company. And I'll say to him, hey, let's keep moving forward, because you have to. We try to solve everything that hasn't happened yet, and I have a very wandering mind. You know that. And so you stay in the moment, stay present. Did you get enough done today? And truly, tomorrow will be here tomorrow, and we'll solve tomorrow's problems there. And if there was problems yesterday, then they're yesterday's problems. So just really about trying to be present and just realizing that you cannot control everything, because I am a control freak, like most ops leaders. You cannot control everything. And I'm still learning it, but I really believe in those moments of darkness, if you want to call it, not to be dramatic. That's where you grow, right? You grow through challenges, you grow through stress, you grow through problems. And hopefully that will make me a better ops leader moving forward, because the more you deal with challenges, the better coping and problem solving skills you have to solve them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good mindset. I mean,
That's what happens when you take your medication before you record. So
oh, what a great segue. The other thing I was going to ask is, other than, writing songs as your outlet, going on nice trips to the Dominican Republic, or even just taking time away, what else do you do to kind of get yourself back into a better mindset?
um, the biggest thing is the gym. I've always been wired, but like the gym is a non-negotiable for me. 6 days a week, get up in the morning and go. Um, it just it calms the noise in my head. That's the best way to put it. It's I was literally talking to somebody this morning. I was there, and it's just saying like, why do we do this every morning? And I said to him, because I sometimes walk out of the gym out in the morning, and I'm just like, nothing else can hurt me today, because I just mentally talked myself through pushing my body harder than any client will, or any family situation will, or whatever else. So it's, look, the brain drives the body. So that's a big one for me. And look, I've always kind of belittled and made jokes about these songs, because I don't believe anybody cares, and that's okay. I'm not looking for anybody to care and say you're amazing, but you hit on something. This kind of fun, creative initiative has allowed me an outlet to find a way to process my thoughts. And that's why, like I said in other bonus episodes, when you were kind enough to come on for chasing deadlines and waste of time and everything else, is I work really hard at the lyrical side of it, so that, again, like I said about my mother, a woman who is close to 70 years old, a woman, for example, and a friend who chooses to listen to them at a completely different age bracket, but like two people can identify, for example, and say like, yeah, that's you, or I understand what you're saying without saying it, which I think is the beauty of lyrical structure. If the person does have passion to actually express themselves in words, it, is the sound's got to get you jumping. The song's got to be able to turn up and allow you to rock out if is your vibe. But a lot of people like songs for the lyrics because they find something in the lyrics that are relatable, and that's been a huge outlet for me when I'm motivated to be expressive. And the podcast, to be honest with you, getting back into this theme now, and we got such a great lineup of stuff. Like, I got more stuff for you to edit right now than I've ever had, which is exciting for us through this year, because we're going to continue to stay consistent on it. And it is a great outlet of just shooting the shit with your friends about relatable stuff that we're going through. So those are two big outlets. I still play sports a little bit, but gym and those two things are a couple of big outlets for me. And like you said, I've loved music since I was a kid. I've always been that kid that's had a Walkman and earphones in every facet. I had a Walkman and a CD player in class through high school when I was yelled at to take it off all the time. And I have music on every single hour of the day when I can have it on. So, and it's pretty cool to create something, even if it's for yourself, to say, I built this. And also I'll say, because I have no shame, that I've also started to see that I'm gaining a small amount of listeners per month, which I never thought was going to happen. It's been almost a joke with me on Spotify, because I wanted to get these out in the sense of streaming. I didn't want to have to, hey, Em, look at this on Google Drive. And you're like, what the hell, Mike? This is amateur hour. So I wanted to say, like, how do you create something and syndicate it in? So I had to learn how to distribute them into the streaming platforms. So I get them on there, and then this is cool. I can listen to them on my phone or in the car and on my headphones. And then I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it says 1 monthly listener. And I'm laughing because it's me. I'm not going to have 8 million people listen to this song per month. And then I messaged you when I was in the Dominican, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on all of a sudden, but I've got like 21 monthly listeners, and now it's up to like 24, 25. And again, that's nothing in the grand scheme of things, but we don't have any promotion. We don't have any advertising. We don't have any following on that side of things. But, between my efforts to post some of them out now more confidently than the joke of like, here's my Ops songs, and trying to tie them more to the overall Angry Ops Guy brand that you and I are building. What a nice surprise, because that's very humbling. Somebody wants to follow it, to listen to it, because, and that's kind of the affirmation that, you didn't produce something just stupid. It compelled somebody enough, a friend, a colleague, a WSI person, a family member, to say, you know what? When he drops something new, I want to listen to it. So, it's just very validating in that regard, because I put a lot of effort into it.
You did talk a little bit about lyrics. So there was one in here that I wanted, I guess I just wanted you to sort of elaborate a little bit because of the way you've written it. You say screens flash a few times. Explain that a little bit more, because like obviously you and I in the digital marketing space, we work on screens all the time, but why screens flash? Why did you frame it that way?
The concept, it's not actually too deep. That terminology, the screens flash, is just more about, the screen, especially again, digital marketing, or people that are on screens all day. We've gotten ourselves to the point where this bigger and bigger screens. Like right now sitting talking to you, I have two 32-inch monitors. Like, that's a lot of screen real estate. And you think that with with bigger screens, you're like, look at all this space. I'm going to be able to be more efficient and stuff. It just adds more noise. Like that's the first thing I learned with my setup. And then I had to redo my setup from a focal point. It's just, there's two, if there was 15 tiles open, there's now 30 tiles open. And just screens flash, MS Teams is popping up over here. Emails are popping up over there. WhatsApp's popping up over here because WhatsApp's now become almost like my instant messenger. That's how we talk, when you're not at work is literally through the desktop app of WhatsApp. So I can talk to you almost in real time. So screens, and also just, it's the bouncing back and forth between a million screens. So that's the kind of concept of screens flash, because that becomes a very mentally draining thing for anyone in agency life or operations on the screen, because you think you're being productive. And I see this with my staff all the time. Sorry, our staff, not my staff, our staff. And they'll like, can I show you something on the screen? No problem. And they pull it up and they're like, Firefox browser's open and they have 42 tabs open. They can't find anything. And I'm like, this is like, for someone like me who has ADHD, this is like, because it's like, it's sensory overload. And then also me, because I'm technical, I'm like, that's exhausting your browser memory and you wonder why your computer is slow and everything else. So it's like, again, we've gotten bigger with everything, but there's just too much. And that allows, again, a lot of just eye strain and mental fatigue for us through the day. And then you know how it is, because you've been on a screen a long time. You're just like, why am I so goddamn tired when I leave work? It's because it's just glued to the screen nowadays. And we're very much remote, or you're hybrid or whatever else. Like it's a remote style. And so you stare at a screen for 8 or 10 hours. You're not in a boardroom. You're not in the production room. You're not at your own desk. You're not going out for a cigarette if that's your thing. You're not going out for lunch. It's just eat at your desk and stare at a screen for 12 hours. And again, just wonder why people are so mentally gassed at the end of the day. So that's kind of where that came from.
Fair. Yeah, I feel like coming back to reading, what I've been trying to do on my lunch break at work is actually just read a physical book so that I'm not staring at Instagram or looking at LinkedIn or whatever on a screen, so that I can just take a break that way.
Amazing how just changing almost your brain wiring to slow down and focus on something, even if you read 10 pages, but it takes your brain away from that focus. Like, or just taking a proper lunch break. Good on you for reading, but like taking 30 minutes, I'm going to go away from my screens. I'm going to go eat. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go for a walk if you have a dog. And it's amazing when you come back to your screens, how much more focused and calm you are to come back for like round 2 of the afternoon versus thinking, I'm just going to push through. Again, we think we're operationally efficient and we're not. And I'm sure you've been doing some reading, because we had a great chat, you and I, about AI, but people are saying like, the amount of interpretation and engagement with the AI tools, whether it's conversational or prompting or getting it to execute, whether it's typing or vocal, people are exhausted because they're saying that the mental energy because again, you're trying to communicate in real time with technology. Like if me and you talked here for 6 hours, we would be tired. Because your brain would just be so mentally like, wow, we've really been stimulated to kind of think on our feet. It's the same thing with AI. So again, like you've got to find that even more, that work-life balance of just disconnecting. So interesting that, you and I both came to reading as a really graceful or peaceful kind of outlet to take a step away and kind of calm your nervous system and clear the noise in your head so you can go back and kick ass.
Yeah, absolutely. The remote work through lunch trap is a real thing. So if you are a remote worker in marketing or otherwise, take your lunch break. You deserve
Take your lunch break from someone who has not taken their lunch break for like 15 years, thinking it was always a smart one. You're going to start gaining dishes and mugs on your desk that then stay there across the week, and you wonder why you look like you're the next episode of Hoarders. My wife has a big problem. She's like, you're a fucking slob. And I'm like, I'm sorry. So like, respect your desk. It's amazing too. When your desk is clean and tidy, again, sensory overload. Like right now, my desk, I'm so glad you can't see it because it's disgusting, but I will clean it up today. It doesn't have dishes, by the way, but it's papers and receipts and a book and 2 computers and pill bottles and everything else. But you wonder why I've been a little scatterbrained, for example, last couple of days. So organize your desk, organize your workspace, keep it clean. It's actually going to help your efficiency. It sounds so silly, but it's the truth. Clean desk, more productive, more focused on the task, and no different than we all dump 300 files on our desktop screens now because versus folder structure. Purge that once a week. Keep your screens clear. Less noise allows you to work better.
I cleaned up my desktop the other day. It felt so good. 10 out of
Does it
10.
does it's like that's therapy in its own way,
Yeah.
because you spend a ton of time at your station.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. So you take your lunch, but take your lunch. You deserve a lunch. Take your lunch and get it away from your desk and even the office or the agency or your office at home that you can. Go for a walk for 20 minutes out of that 30. Get some steps in. Go take your dog for a walk and watch them just have the time of their life sniffing everything that they can. Like it's just again, got to break up the slog of just go go go.
Absolutely. Okay, we got time for one more. This is going to be the hardest question, or maybe it won't be. I don't know. You end the song Digital Puppet with the line, "I swear this year almost broke me." Do you feel like you've come back from that? Do you feel like the, I don't know, the journey was worth the learnings?
The journey is always worth the learnings. It's just a matter of when they click to allow you to be present to identify that you learned something. Because again, when you're in the, I call it when you're in the trenches, you're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And I have a nervous system that I know and I can feel that is really in fight or flight a lot. I don't know if I said this to somebody else on a recording, and if I did, I apologize. But I went to regional meetings last September, and I was a fraction of the person I want to put out, especially in front of my WSI family. I felt very uncomfortable and didn't know where my place was, and a little bit quiet. And then because I don't get to see one of my best friends, Denise Bowen, more than once or twice a year, she comes up from Boston into the regionals in Canada, and I'm excited to see her and my kind of close crew. And we always sit next to each other as a way to spend some time together through the education learning. And like right away within, I'm not even joking, like 25, 30 minutes of being together after not seeing her for over 6 months, she kind of pulled me aside or quiet looked at me and she goes, "What's up?" I said, "Nothing." She goes, "Something's up." She just could know. And, when people that you love and care about and trust can see through that, they can see what you're putting out. Um, so, if that was September and then I still had October, November, and December to go, it was a kind of fight for, so I just get to the finish line, just get to Christmas. I always use the Christmas break, and we're very blessed at Commandex that Peter has always been gracious to kind of give everybody that time off. It's not, we don't have to use our vacation time. So whatever the days are around the stat holidays, he basically says that's paid vacation. Enjoy the break. So we get somewhere between a week and a half, and it is probably the best gift he can give us in anything over the year, because it is the time of the year where everybody is tired. Everybody does need the rest, and that is the Christmas present that I like, is just the rest. So, and then I use that time to get healthy and try to get yourself grounded, because I do a lot of reflection around New Year's. I really do. I probably generate a list of too many things I want to conquer the next year, which are unrealistic. But I said to myself, after, like I said, this difficult year for various reasons, personal and professional, even though we're focusing on the professional one, and just what did you do wrong, Mike? How did you handle this? And because I'm sitting there going, like, I don't know how long I can keep this up. That's not a good feeling. And also, when it says this year almost broke me, well, I talk about, here's some vulnerability that you can cut out, which you won't. When something happened at the agency with another resignation or other pressure, and I was really at my limit of how much more can I take, I sent a voice note to Jack, because Jack is, again, one if not my best friend in digital marketing, and he's an ally and a mentor and a friend, and we are vulnerable with each other as much as we're mean to each other. And I messaged him, and I just, like, I broke down. Like, I was just kind of like, I'm calling you just to let you know what's going on, and I'm not in a good place, and you just got to get it out and whatever. And I said what I had to say, and I remember I was in a parking lot before a dentist appointment, and I left him the note, and like I broke down in my car, and I'm a fucking 40-year-old grown man, and I just had a moment, just overwhelmed by emotion of just pressure and stress and noise and everything else. And that was the moment that lyric comes from. Is it's just like, there's my breaking point. My ops Mike is not invincible, even though I try to be, and here's my armor, but it's like the reality that I am human. And I had to go. I reached out to, my doctor, and I reached out to psychotherapists that I go to for therapy. And shout out to anybody. There's nothing wrong with therapy. I think it's the greatest form to, again, my op songs are my new form of psychotherapy. They'll just allow you to get it off your chest. You don't have to solve anything. You just got to get it out. So I looked at that toolkit, and I had to get some meds adjusted. I had to get some talking through of stuff. I had to get some sleep, and progressively work to just come out of that tunnel. So build an action plan for January, saying the non-negotiable this year is to look at it through a more objective lens. You cannot solve everything when problems happen, even though you think you're a fixer. And you need to take better care of yourself, because also people aren't going to be compassionate if you go through the same struggles every year, because then they're just going to see a pen. They're going to say, well, like my wife is a very objective. She's not mean, but she's that kick in the ass I need. And it's kind of like, she's like my mother. She's like, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? She goes, I care about you, but what are you going to do about it?
Mm.
And nobody wants to hear that in the moment of vulnerability and weakness, because you want that person to, it's okay, it's okay, whatever. But it's like, what are you going to do about it? And once you calm down of like the, why are you attacking me, which they're not, it's like, yeah, what the hell, what the fuck are you going to do about it, Mike?
Yeah.
Figure it out. You control how the ship moves, and the ship is me. So, and I know we're going to wrap up soon because these are bonus episodes, but you've asked me questions, and I would like to ask you one. Like, is that what you felt leaving agency life? Because what I said in our episode, you took some very calculated PTO. It was about 2 months, I think, roughly, right? 2 months or so that you took PTO, where you're like, I'm not going to work. I need to figure myself out. You had to change where you were living. There was a, with you, where your living situation was. So you had to figure that out. You're coming out of your existing career, and how you realize, I've got to get out of this and do something that's different for me and what I need now versus Emily before. But was that kind of what you felt as well? It's just like, figure it out, Emily. Like, you've got to ground yourself so that you can be the Emily that people like. Or am I completely wrong? I just love to ask you that question, because it's such a topic that doesn't get talked about a lot, right? I use the moniker that ops sucks and ops a grind and everything, because it's relatable to people. But the real is people are mentally crumbling under the pressures of today's digital workforce.
I do feel like because I was going to say, this is not the first time that something like this has happened. So I do feel like when I won't make a decision, the universe will make one for me. And
Well said.
so I feel like I was in this for a number of reasons that we do not have time to get into all of them, but for a number of reasons, I wasn't ready to leave this job. I wasn't, I didn't want to go through the whole hassle of trying to find a new place to live, but I wasn't happy where I was. There were a few other things that just like, I consciously did not like them, but I didn't want to leave them behind, because I think as a human being, we all struggle with change to a certain degree. And then there's obviously a lot of work that goes into having to change your life. But I really wasn't doing well. And so I feel like the universe just like slammed the reset button, which kind of forced me to go find a new job, figure out what I wanted to do, leave the place that I was living, and figure that out as well. And none of that came without incredible levels of stress and anxiety, but it was also very freeing because it was like, okay, you're not, I was making myself stuck, but it was like, you're not stuck anymore. In fact, you have to figure something else out because those are no longer an option for you.
And also, and I remember because me and you just listened to the episode that will be dropping today or tomorrow with you. As I said, like I could see how much you've grown in the last 6 to 8 months. As I said it, like as a woman, as a person, and as a lady back injected in business in the sales side, which is where you were seeing yourself going. But you asked me earlier is like what did you learn out of that? What you learned out of that is you can do that. You had to basically pack up your life and relocate within inside Calgary. Changing
True.
jobs again, talk about being uncomfortable, unfamiliarity of like, am I going to be accepted in my next place? So look at the Emily of 2026 versus the Emily of 2025. So exactly, whether it's the universe or whether it's you slapping yourself upside the head, um, it's gonna it's going to pass.
Mm.
You're going to figure it out. Um, and I think a really important statement here, despite all the sarcastic humor, is ask for help.
Yeah.
Lean on your key friends, lean on your family. And it's okay to say you are suffering or you're in a bad spot. I'm almost getting emotional saying it just because it brings back thoughts. But it's like it is okay to ask for help. Um, Coming from the guy who always thinks that he has to have the biggest shoulders and pain is weakness and vulnerability and weakness and being able to admit it, share it, reflect on it, and ask for support is actually growth. And I'm a big advocate of that now, and I'm more comfortable as a more middle-aged man to share that with the WSI community and others because I don't want people to go through the same mistakes I put myself through. And that's why you and I are doing these initiatives with insights. And why are you doing this crap? Is because I really think it's a way to help people. And I want to say one more thing before I want to ask you another question. We'll wrap up because it's your Saturday. Is I was on a WSI call. They did something fun where they tried to do almost like a speed dating concept. And the idea was to warm up the different franchises before the convention in June, so that more people would be comfortable because there's a lot of new people, and it's great for the ecosystem. But you can imagine how daunting that is to go to a all inclusive, and then you see the old guard where these people love each other, and they're like, "Hi." So they were doing virtual speed dating. And there's a very nice man. His name is Chris Nicolini. He's a newer IC that the gentleman said he just started like November or December. I could be wrong. Forgive me. But I had a nice one-on-one, and I've met Chris in another engagement very quickly for like 7 minutes on screen to say hi. Who are you? And first thing he said, he says, I really appreciate and love your podcast. And I was like, really? And because again, I make jokes on here. Christina makes jokes. Nobody listens. They do. But he said, he goes, being a new person and not having my own network and not having a lot of connections, I feel like I know you, and I feel like I can learn through your lens, and what you're willing to share with us and so forth. And I was so humbled because that's exactly what Christina and I initially wanted to carve out
Yeah.
when she could focus, and we had that dynamic for season one. And now how I've taken it with guests and so forth in season two with my own focus is it's meant to pay it forward to help people. It's meant to be funny. It's meant to be humorous. I'll fall on my sword, but it's really meant to help people get their footing in digital marketing on the things that matter. And again, maybe next time I have you on as a full guest, and I would love to in upcoming months, maybe we'll talk about, stop with she's like pushing her hair back like, oh, I'll be there because I'm vain. Emily loves attention if nobody knows. So if you ever want Em on your good side, bat your eyes at her, give her a compliment, send her a little bit of e-transfer money.
Oh my God.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't have to send me money, but I do like attention.
What the last thing I want to ask you, just because it always amuses me on how people objectively listen to it or read it, is what's your favorite lyric or verse out of that song?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yes. No, I want you to lie to me like most women do in my life.
Oh God.
Jesus.
Um, I mean, I really like stress plus snacks makes me fat.
Yeah.
That's relatable. It's a relatable post.
Coming from you, who's like a beanpole.
I tell you, there's been a lot of stress.
This was supposed to be an immediate question and answer, so this is
Ah,
what backfired on me.
what was done between 9 to 5? 5:01 hits. Here comes the next blow. Yowza!
Yeah. So that one there is it's amazing. Let's just leave it at this. It is amazing how once you get access to an employee's email, once they leave, and you go to evaluate the cadence of stuff, and then you look at it, you say, oh, in the last 2 weeks, because you don't have any folder segmentation, you haven't been moving things into buckets, you've only had 5 emails come in. 5. But you're telling me that you're swamped and overloaded and everything else. So, yeah, that's what that comes from. So, what were you doing between 9 to 5? Because I got access to your email and it doesn't tell me how busy you actually were. So, that's where that one comes from. And then, obviously, the next blow at 5 o'clock is there's a theme that people like to send resignation notices at
Yeah.
4:55 or 5:15. So I get to the end of the day, I'm like, perfect. What a great Monday. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hello, I'd like to advise you that it's been really great working for your agency, but I'm going to put in my 2 weeks. And then it's no. And then you hear, and that's the fist being inserted into the digital puppet. And here we go.
Yeah.
So on that note, my favorite lyric, my favorite verse in that is, everyone's tired of my voice. Um, the blank stares and whatever it is. Read it for me because I'm butchering it, but it's later on in the song.
Ah, yes. Everyone's tired of my voice, the webcam smile, the forced I'm fine. Digital burnout through my spine.
That's my favorite. I just think that really echoes my own reflection of myself. Of just you get to the point where you're like, the clients are tired of me, my staff is tired of me. I'm putting on a face on camera and telling you I'm fine. I'm really not.
Mm.
I'm anxious. I'm jittery. I'm just trying to hold it together, and then digital burnout through my spine is my nervous system's completely taxed to the top right of the box, and I've got to figure out how to bring it back to zero because otherwise, what am I?
Mm.
Deep, deep. All right, we got to get out of here because this is supposed to be a bonus episode, and I just looked at the clock, and Emily's not going to be happy that I kept her for almost an hour. So there is. There are more songs coming if you enjoy listening to them. I'm on a roll right now doing some new ones. So, Digital Puppet is available on all major music streaming platforms under Ops-285, my moniker punk pop band. I also released a really cool one in just the last week or two that I wrote when I was on holidays. I'm on the beach and I was creating lyrics. So, it's called Anchor, and Emily and I were talking at the beginning of this, saying I honestly think it's the best one I've done yet in the sense of themes and energy and lyrical approach. It's very different because I usually talk about the rage and the burnout and the frustration of clients. That one is very from within, kind of self-reflection and emotions of me. So that one I hope people will enjoy. And Emily knows this briefly because I sent her something to listen to and such. But I got another one coming out called The Shit Show Supervisor. And before you're like, well, that's vulgar, Mike, and what the hell? So Peter, on my 15-year anniversary with Commandex, he got me a present, which was very gracious. He got me a beautiful watch as a milestone, but he also got me, I'm putting it up for Emily to see, but he got me a coffee mug.
Mm.
And the coffee mug says "Shit Show Supervisor," a problem-solving expert who fixes issues that no one else can figure out, a person whose job is to organize the chaos that is created on a daily basis. Also see Miracle Worker Superhero. And I popped. So it sits on my desk every day. And I chose to write a song about it. And it's more fun and attackful and everything else. So a couple new ones coming out. I'll keep doing them because it's great therapy. And I appreciate the people that are listening and following. And give me some feedback as I drop them out. But Angry Ops Guy _WSI on YouTube, Instagram. What else are we on? LinkedIn. And also, I mentioned in the last recording that she hasn't listened to yet, Angry Ops Guy website's coming. So building the brand a little bit more as just a home base to help people with digital marketing talk, and appreciate everybody that listens and sees value in this. But most importantly, Em, I appreciate you, because without you, this podcast doesn't get produced and doesn't get cleaned up to sound remotely intelligent. And you are my podcast producer wizard. So, like I said, probably the next bonus episode we'll do, where we'll talk about Alberta's Coming, because that one's fun, and we'll go like through all the lyrics because it's all relatable to you and to Christina. Emily curates my playlist. She builds the brand. Super cool. What is it? Builds the brand. Too cool for losers. Super kind to me. Wall art queen, cool and composed. So clean up my shit so I won't get exposed. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
Emily.
Thank you, Mike.
I appreciate you, lady. Thanks for coming on and talking some shit with me. We'll catch you on the flip side, all right?
You betcha. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Bye.
Bye.
One email, one goodbye. Trust earned, trust gone. Customer FaceTime. Canceled accounts. Fuck me. Now I'm on every call like it's life or death. I'm scared. Dark clouds rolling in. Rough skies ahead. Fight or flight on overdrive. More pills make me clear. Stress plus snacks make me fat. Coping skills, ops Mike, you're weak. Handle your shit, be a fucking man. Mentally, I want to quit. Congrats, you broke this ops guy. Digital puppet, nobody asked why. Screens flash, I slip below. Still keep pushing, 'cause ops says go. Finding things in your email. What was done between 9 to 5? 501 hits. Here comes the next blow. My 2 weeks notice. Oh boy, here we go. Just breathe, that's what they say. Calm down, same shit every day. It's only work, it'll still be here tomorrow. Let it go, like that fixes anything. Everyone's tired of my voice. The webcam smile, the forced I'm fine. Digital burnout through no congrats. You broke this ops guy. Digital puppet, nobody asked why. Screens flash, I slip below. Still keep pushing, 'cause ops says go. I'm running on fumes. There's nothing